Of Paper Crafting with Tracy. Today we're going to be using the Stampin Up Humming Along stamp set to make this card here. Okay, now I apologize for the narrow screen today. It's having technical difficulties trying to get the camera to turn, so rather than running really late, we'll just try and make sure I'm in the field of view. Okay, so this is the stamp set we're going to be using, Humming Along, and this is, if you haven't already heard, we have two different promotions going on right now. One of them, which started on January 3rd, okay, is our new Occasions Catalogue. And there's so many beautiful things in here, as you can see from the cover. Okay, and also happening right now is Celebration. So in Canada, every $60 that you spend, you get to choose a free item out of this catalog. And this happens both, this one it goes till the end of March. Okay, and there is so many lovely things in this one as well. Okay, so first thing we're going to do for this card is we're going to start with the centerpiece here. And what we're going to be using for these is our blends markers, in case you haven't seen these. The Stampin Blends. Okay, and these ones here are the Calypso Coral, and they come in a dark and a light. There's a couple other colors that are available, a bronze and an ivory, which kind of go together. And then we're also going to be using what's called a color lifter. Okay, and this helps to lift the markers, which I'll explain that later. So first thing we're going to need is a piece of Whisper White cardstock and my image, which I'm using this one here. And these are with the new cling stamp. So if you used our clear mount stamps before, those are going to be phased out, and we have these new cling ones, and boy are they sticky. So if you had any problems at all having your rubber mounted stamps stick to your clear block, it won't be an issue anymore. And I'm going to use the Memento black, and we'll just ink it all up here. Okay, the stamp is too big just to go on the ink pad on its own. And then we'll line that up. There we go. So it doesn't matter if we got a little bit of light spots because we're going to be coloring it. Now I'm just going to leave that just for a moment. Because you want to make sure that the ink is very dry. So I'm going to get my card base, which is Whisper White again. You can see here, and we're going to do the stamping of these leaves around the edge, just so that it just gives a moment for the flower to finish drying. So I'm using Old Olive, and I've got my stamp all ready to go. And I didn't want it full on stamped, so I off stamped. Okay, so ink it up. And then I just did, okay, a bunch coming in different directions. We'll do going that way. I'll do another one going this way. I'll do a tip over here. And maybe a bit of a edge there. Okay. So let's put that aside before I get that all over things. And we'll cover up our black Memento. And we'll just put this aside. Okay, so we'll get our card here. Now what you want to start with is you want to start with a section. And I start with the dark. And I'm going to use, there's two different tips. There's a kind of a paintbrushy end and then a narrow tip. And I'm going to start with this one. You don't want to outline the whole thing because these have alcohol in them and you need them to be wet in order to blend properly. So we'll just, and it doesn't have to be perfect because you'll see here shortly. So we'll just quickly outline one of these. Okay, and then I'll just, okay. So now that you've done that, you take your light and then I just start swirling it in. And I get a kind of a base on there first. And then I kind of keep going over the edges. And it will darken the edges a little bit. Kind of blend it in. And I try and keep the center a bit less ink going over because I want the center of my petal to be, and I'll blend that one in a bit. And you just keep going over as much as you want to soften it, like so. So you're going to do that for all 4 or 5 petals as well as the back. Okay, I used Daffodil Delight for the stems, and again I just used the light one to go over some of it. And then, so we got it in there. Again, doesn't have to be perfect. And then I just used the dark to kind of outline in some of this, just to give a little bit of texture. And then actually, so it can be seen. And then I used Old Olive for the stem. Okay, so in the interest of time, okay, oops, this is what I've got. And I don't know if you can see this, but in the center of the petals, it's just slightly lighter. And you can play with that. I did a little bit of different texturing in the leaf as well. Okay, so these blends are awesome. Now, one thing I want to show you, and I'll do one with the Calypso Coral Dark, just so you can see, okay, is if I make a mark, and say you went out of the lines, well, that's where this color lifter comes in. Okay, if you went over the edge and you weren't happy with it, okay, you just, if I went too far there, I'll just keep going over it. And it will eventually lift the color. You can see it really fading there. The other thing that it's really handy for is, I'll use the light one here. Say we've got a balloon, and like so, and oops, let's just make that a little bit, and you want to get that kind of rounded sunspot. Okay, we'll just color it in there. I don't know if that's showing up too well, but you can lighten it as much as you want. Okay, really fun to play with. Okay, so we've got our card base. Let's just kind of slide that over a little bit. We have, sorry, our picture. Okay, we've got our piece of cardstock, which is Blackberry Bliss. And then we have this new, it's in the Occasions Catalogue, the Gingham. Okay, and it comes in a variety of colors, which I forgot to bring out, but I will show you here. Okay, this is called Gingham Gala, and they're 6x6 cardstock, and you can see here all the different colors. We've got Daffodil Delight, we've got a Highland Heather, which is the purple, the Grapefruit Grove, and then we have Balmy Blue, and the green is Lime Twist. Okay, so those are the different colors. Okay, so we're just going to attach that. So you can see from those alcohol, it does bleed through quite a bit. So if you make a mistake, there's no turning the paper over and doing it again. Okay. So I centered this on here. Like so. Then my card base. And you can, sorry, I forgot to show you, the Gingham Gala is double-sided, so we got a large check and a small check. And I'm going to use this small for this, so we'll just tape up this. And I left a tiny bit of a border on the edge. And then all we're going to do is mount this. Like so. And there you have it. Our card is complete. So I hope you enjoyed today's paper crafting with Tracy. To keep up to date on all the new videos, please subscribe to my YouTube channel and have a great day.